Hello and welcome to Math 8, Unit 3A, Lesson 5. Today's objective is scholars will solve equations using the distributive property. Okay, so let's talk about this. What is the distributive property? So to distribute means to divide something or give a share or part of something. So according to the distributive property, multiplying the sum of two or more addends by a number will give the same result as multiplying each addend individually by the number and then adding the products together. So what does that mean? You see here I have 3 times 2 plus 3. So here's my 2, here's my 3, and you can see I have 3 groups of it. So you can see that here I have a total of, if you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 boxes. You can see here that if you go over to this other side, it's the same as if I do 3 times 2, which gives me 6 boxes, and 3 times 3, which gives me 9 boxes, I still end up with 15 boxes. So it's the exact same. So how can we use the distributive property to solve equations? Okay, so we've moved from you telling me what's happening to then undoing it to actually being able to look at this. Now we're going to be using our distributive property. Just so you know, when we're using the distributive property, we're going to abbreviate it DIST prop. Remember, I don't like making you guys write out long things, but we're going to abbreviate DIST prop. So, first thing I'm going to do is I am going to use my distributive property. Because if I look at this problem, I can see that I have this right here where I have a negative 8. Remember, we write that as negative 8 times n plus 8. So, I'm going to use my distributive property to do negative 8 times n and negative 8 times 8. So negative 8 times, well, let's start by rewriting everything. So first I have negative 40 plus 2n equals 4n. And now negative 8 times n is negative 8n. Negative 8 times 8 is negative 64. That's my distributive property. Well, now this looks like problems I've already done before. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be combining some like terms. So on the left side, I cannot combine anything. I'm just left with my negative 40 plus 2n, because negative 40 and 2n cannot be combined. But on the right side, I can combine 4n and negative 8n. So those are going to combine to 4n minus 8n gives me negative 4n. And then I'm just going to bring down the minus 64. Okay, so now I need to get all of my variables together and all of my constants together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the subtraction property of equality. And I'm going to subtract 2n from both sides. So I have negative 40 plus 2n minus 2n equals negative 4n minus 2n minus 64. Okay, so now again I'm going to need to combine some like terms. I can see that the terms I need to combine are this negative 4n and negative 2n. So I'm going to combine my like terms on the left, and over here I've got the negative 2n, positive 2n, and negative 2n, which we're going to combine. So my next line is going to be negative 40 Positive 2n, negative 2n cancel, so they are going to go away. So that equals negative 6n minus 2n gives, or sorry, negative 4n minus 2n gives me negative 6n minus 64. So my next step is going to be, I'm going to use my addition property of equality, because now I need to get the negative 64 to the other side, and it's a negative, so I'm going to add. So I'm using my addition property of equality. I have negative 40 plus 64 equals negative 6n minus 64 plus 64. And all I did was add 64 to both sides. So now I'm going to, again, combine some like terms. Over here I combine negative 40 and I combine the 64. Over here I combine the negative 64 and the positive 64. So now my problem looks like negative 40 and 64 gives me 14. No, I'm sorry, gives me 24 equals negative 6n. Again, that's just combining like terms. Well, now I have all of my variables on one side. I have all of my constants on the other. So now remember, I'm going to end up dividing by whatever the coefficient is on my variable. So I need to find out, this tells me negative 6 times n is 24. So now I'm going to divide by negative 6. So my next step is going to be division property of equality. And I'm simply going to divide both sides by negative 6. So I have 24 divided by negative 6 equals negative 6n divided by negative 6. So when I simplify this, 24 divided by negative 6, the answer is going to be negative. 24 divided by 6 gives me 4 equals, the other side, the negative times negative 6 and divided by negative 6 cancel, and I get n. So there's my answer, negative 4 equals n. Remember, it does not matter which side it's on. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, again, I'm going to start off. I can see that I've got something to distribute. So I'm going to start off using my distributive property. So on the left side, I can't do anything. It's just 40 minus x equals 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. 4 times negative 6x gives me negative 24x. And then I bring down the plus 6. Remember that this, because the plus 6 is outside of the parentheses, we're not going to be multiplying it. We only multiply what's inside the parentheses. Okay, so next I'm going to combine some like terms. I can see that I have a negative 12 and I have a positive 6 that I can combine. So my next line is going to be 40 minus x equals negative 12 and positive 6 equals negative 6 minus 24x. My next step is going to be, I'm going to use my addition property of equality, and I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So I have 40 plus 6 minus x equals negative 6 plus 6 minus 24x. You can see I added the 6 on both sides. So next I need to figure out what like terms I can combine. So I see here I've got a positive 6 and a 40. Here I have a negative 6 and a positive 6. So those are going to get combined. So now 40 plus 6 is 46 minus x equals negative 24x when I combine my like terms. Okay, so my next step is going to be, I'm going to use my addition property of equality to add x to both sides. So I have 46 minus x plus x equals negative 24x plus x. So my next step's again going to be to combine like terms. And I can see that here I've got negative x, positive x. Those are going to go away. Here I have negative 24x and positive x. So remember, if I have a negative and a positive, I have to subtract my numbers and keep the side of the number with the greater absolute value. So I left with 46 equals negative 23x. If I owe someone 24 x's and I give them an x, now I only owe them 23 x's. Okay, last step, we are going to use our division property of equality to divide both sides. So I have 46 divided by negative 23 equals negative 23x divided by negative 23. So when I simplify, I get negative 2 equals x. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so go ahead and let's have you try some on your own. If you need more help, I'm going to give you another video with some additional examples. I'll see you in class.